Welcome everybody, it's Superman here, your superhero of cryptocurrency, and I am back properly this time. Now, we have got something absolutely amazing happening in the cryptocurrency market. We are seeing a resurgence in the confidence of the people that are invested in cryptocurrencies, and we see a kind of increased confidence in all the people wanting to get into cryptocurrency. Now, what I'm going to be speaking about in this particular cryptocurrency video is I'm going to be talking about the potential end of a very well-known cryptocurrency tech. Is this the end of blockchain? If you want to know that, then smash up the likes. Smash up the likes. It's about time that we gave the like spikes a good revival. At the moment, there is some kind of bot, I don't know what's going on. There's some kind of bot that's spamming dislikes, but they're not true. They actually did that to box mining as well for some unknown reason. It's just haters. It's just haters. Forget about them. But smash up the likes, give us a like spike. So I'm going to be coming on to that potential tech killer in a bit. But I just wanted to take some time to essentially comment on what's happening right now in the market. So we are seeing mainly cryptocurrencies today in the green. So the bulls are returning. The confidence is returning. People are feeling a lot better about investing now. And a lot of people are particularly feeling good if they invested during the dip. Particularly this person. So apparently there's an anonymous cryptocurrency trader that bought 400 million worth of Bitcoin during the dip when it was at $6,000. And essentially that is nearly is on the way now to being 800 million. So that was a very, very clever trade. And that's a prime example of buying on the dip, buying when it's low. And even if it was going to go lower than that, that's still, you know, it's still going to be a lot high, it's still going to be a lot lower than where Bitcoin is going to be in the coming weeks and months, because it looks like the bulls are returning and that we are going to be seeing Bitcoin moving closer and closer towards where it has been. Now, it's not going to necessarily go to 20k straight away, but what tends to happen is the confidence just builds on the confidence. Okay, we saw a very, very slow rise in the confidence. We saw cryptocurrencies being relatively static, but moving up, making a trajectory towards up. And what happens is it's a snowball effect. So the confidence is gaining and gaining. People are feeling more and more happy about investing in cryptocurrencies and trading cryptocurrencies, and that is just going to make it skyrocket eventually, okay, because that momentum builds up. Essentially it builds up so that where we saw Bitcoin, where it went from 8,000, and there was a lot of confidence when it went from 5,000 to 8,000, and then all of a sudden when it went from 8,000 to 11,000, it just kept on going up very quickly, about 1,000 a day. So we need that snowball to just keep moving, and it has been. You know, it took Bitcoin a while to get over 10,000. Now it's going towards 11,000. And then the time between the thousands shortens. Okay, but only as long as not too much happens that causes FUD in the market, that causes fear in the market. Let me just make sure that you can actually hear me and everything, because for all I know, sound could be off. That causes FUD. Yes. Okay, so sound is on. Marvelous. So, yeah, so what we're seeing is we are seeing most of the cryptocurrencies following Bitcoin. Most of the cryptocurrencies are in the green today, save for a few, you know, like Nano, unfortunately, with the hack that happened recently. That's lost some confidence. There's always going to be individual cases where something has lost confidence. But what you will mainly see is that most of the cryptocurrencies are gaining. Okay, some are making huge gains. Ucash has made another big gain. I've kind of been out of the loop completely with Ucash. I've seen people speaking about it, but I have been completely out of the loop. But what we're seeing is we are seeing a lot of the cryptocurrencies now from that dipping point now doubling at the very least. Okay, so we are seeing this. We are just seeing the bulls coming back. So it's a great time to look at your portfolios and everything like that. What else is happening? So this is old news, but I thought that I would comment on it, which is that Coinbase have essentially been overcharging customers. Okay, so Coinbase admits to overcharging customers mistakenly and assures of a refund. And this is due to merchant code changes, which are made by bank issuers. Okay, so it resulted in charging extra fees to customers. So it puts Coinbase again under that spotlight in controversy. And I think that we are going to see in 2018, I think this is definitely a tech that is going to be killed off. It's going to be replaced by a much better system. Okay, and Ethos is what I'm imagining will be that system, but there are more. For instance, Blockport. Now, Blockport is essentially a hybrid cryptocurrency exchange currently in building. Okay, recently come out of ICO. This is one that I invested in. I invested in earlier today, just under 38 cents. So this is under ICO price. This was at 43 cents at ICO. So essentially what they're looking to do is they're essentially looking to get the best of decentralized and centralized exchanges and essentially create a hybrid decentralized architecture. Now, one of the good things about this particular product, and I'm going to speak about this product more in another video, is that they are actually enabling fiat crypto. Okay, so they are going to have a fiat gateway. Okay, so this is going to enable another one-stop solution, very similar to Ethos. Ethos is more of a wallet, and Blockport is more of an exchange, okay, that's going to have a fiat exchange so you can do everything in one place, which is essentially what you can do with Ethos, okay? So this could be an extremely good buy, particularly when the market cap is under 20 million. It's under 20 million. That is obscenely low. And look at the volume. It's extremely low volume. So this is currently ranked 372. So I think although this has gone up 10% in the last 24 hours, I think this is still an incredibly good buy. Given the supply, a larger injection over a 24-hour basis could make this skyrocket. It's already gone up 10%, even though it's only had a 6-figure injection and a low one as well. It's not even mid 6 figures. But given the amount of supply, it can make this go up really quickly. And as I said, this is a highly undervalued cryptocurrency at the moment. 19 million. This is set to go so much further, and particularly when you consider that this is now under ICO price. And I think the ICO price was about 41 cents, and when it came on the exchange was at 43, and it grew to 75 or so. So it just goes to show that at the moment we're still at half of that. There was probably a better time to buy. I think the lowest is 20 cents back in the dip. So although it's nearly double since the dip, it's still half since the all-time high. So, and even when it achieved the all-time high, it's nowhere near where it could be. So I think this is going to go up significantly. I think this might be an old price. This was the price when I was looking at 45 cents. Now it's gone up to. So it's making its gains, making its way up towards a higher market cap. Okay, so it's still very undervalued at the moment. Another bit in the news is Atari is now the latest big company to get involved in cryptocurrency. We've had Telegram, we've had Kodak, we've got various, Amazon are likely to, and Google are likely to, and Facebook are likely to, and now we've got the video games company Atari, which is essentially making a comeback now. Atari was massive in the kind of 70s and early 80s before E.T. essentially killed them off as a kind of Goliath in video gaming, but they're making a return, and they are in itself investing in cryptocurrency and launching its own cryptocurrency. So it's just adding more and more credibility to the space. It's showing where everything is going. Okay, now let's move on to the main feature. So I want to have, from now on, I want to be making shorter videos. Okay, shorter, more action-packed videos rather than long drawn-out videos that go on forever. Okay, so what I'm going to be speaking about today is about the innovation in technology and cryptocurrency. And one of the newest innovations, which a lot of people have asking me to cover, is Hashgraph. Hashgraph is being talked about and has gotten a lot of attention for basically touting itself, or people touting it as a potential blockchain killer. Now, their blockchain is innovating in the space. We're seeing more iterations of blockchain. We're seeing it improving. We're seeing the technology improving. We're seeing the speed massively improving. Like with things like high performance blockchain, with ArcBlock, with EOS, with Cardano, and my number one ICO, famous mention there. So, we are seeing blockchains evolving, okay? However, outside of blockchain, Hashgraph is the potential new technology that cryptocurrencies can use to essentially make faster transactions. Okay, so what is Hashgraph? So I'm going to kind of present this Savage Crypto style, even though I'm not going to be giving it any ratings or anything. But I just really wanted to present to you the positives and negatives of it, and is this going to be a blockchain killer ultimately? So what is Hashgraph? Hashgraph is a next generation consensus method. Okay, so how the nodes agree on transactions and how quickly transactions can be put through on the blockchain. Now, traditionally with the blockchain, the two methods are proof of work and proof of stake. So this is essentially a blockchain killer killing both methods of consensus. This is a next generation way of reaching consensus and having faster transactions. So let's try and break down the technology literally as dumbed down as possible, whilst not compromising on the technology that I'm talking about with Hashgraph. So what are the positives of Hashgraph? So it's essentially high-speed, bank-grade secure, innovative technology for processing transactions. Okay, transactions happening like it would with a blockchain, with things happening with data being transmitted, with money being transmitted and sent. This is essentially a technology that will enable it to go from person to person and be stored on a ledger in a different way to a blockchain. Okay, so it's high speed, I'll tell you more about that. Bank grade standard, so it's essentially meant to have the safest security and is of course different to blockchain. So this is essentially looking to generate and process 250,000 transactions a second. Okay, now to put that into context, a blockchain, which is essentially Bitcoin, which is essentially blockchain 1.0, that's like 5 transactions a second. Ethereum, which is essentially blockchain 2.0, is 30 transactions a second. And then we've got the likes of Neo, EOS, and Cardano, which are looking to reach the, they're certainly in the 4 figures, looking to get into the 6 figures, and then ultimately 7 figures of a million. Okay, so this is looking to be probably the fastest available at the moment, whilst the others are being built. Okay, so fastest kind of transaction processor a second. Now this would be working asynchronous. Okay, asynchronous. So this is quite a buzzword, jargony word, but asynchronous essentially means that you don't need to wait for a series of transactions to be confirmed in an entire block for the transaction to go through. Asynchronous means it can just go through without needing to be ordered in a block, waiting for the block to be essentially completed, moved on, and then of course the transaction goes through. So asynchronous means that it can happen without needing to be stored on a block. Without needing for all the other confirmations on a block, so it happens a lot faster, and of course produces it at a lower cost because of the way that the network nodes work. Okay, so moving on to the network nodes, I'm going to try and make this as simple as possible. So what Hashgraph is incorporating is the gossip protocol, and that is essentially the way in which information is spread across network nodes. Okay, so what happens is a node gets the information, the who, what, when information they get from the transaction, and they spread it across all the different nodes, and they keep on doing this. So another node gets another set of information, spreads it, and it spreads enough to complete and get agreement. Okay, so essentially everything converges so that the consensus is reached a lot faster. I hope that makes sense. Now, this is to enable fairness. Okay, so it's not going to be based on who paid the highest transaction fee gets the fastest transaction happening. It's more a case of the information is timestamped. When the information is gathered by the node and then spread, that is how the transaction is decided. Not based on it's not based on like a merit system. So basically it gives fairness in the transaction. Okay, so that's what it is. So essentially proof of work and proof of stake are going to be more biased and unfair, whereas gossip protocol, the way it makes the nodes work is to give fairness and allows for virtual voting. So the system is essentially called virtual voting rather than proof of work and proof of stake. I hope that makes some sense. And then this is to be compared more with industrial transaction processes rather than like the Ethereum and blockchain and Bitcoin. Can't get my words out. So IBM Hyperledger, I think that's thousands per second. I think that Red Belly is I think that's 400,000 transactions a second. So this is what the competition is of Hashgraph rather than, you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this is looked as a step above that, and therefore probably more designed for industry and large data processing companies rather than your average, you know, cryptocurrency with. It's probably, if you compare it, this is a pretty poor analogy, but it's almost like comparing it to servers. Okay, so if you are running a website, if you've got a low trafficked website, you don't necessarily need the power. Okay, so you would probably use shared hosting or so shared hosting. So you would share it with a number of different companies because it's enough to allow all of the transactions happening on your website, like activity happening on your website. It's enough. It's enough for that. Okay, you don't need the large scale. But if you are a large website like Facebook, like Google, then you would need something a lot more high-powered, a dedicated server, and tons of servers, not just one, you know, shared server that you would need for a small company. For a bigger company, you would need a large amount of dedicated servers. This is very similar. This is for large processing companies. It's a bit like a large data companies, a bit like Google, you know, Amazon, things like that. A lot of what kind of high performance blockchain is targeting as a market. Okay, so it could be designed for industry rather than, you know, the communities that we see in cryptocurrency. Okay, so this is where we come now to the negatives. So I hope this comes in order. So it's patented. Okay, it's patented by the Hashgraph company. Okay, so if a cryptocurrency wanted to use the Hashgraph technology to process transactions, they would need to request an SDK from the Hashgraph company. They would need to essentially get a software development kit so they could build it. Okay, so they could build the software that can put through these transactions Hashgraph style rather than blockchain style. So because it's patented, it's not open source, it's not public, it's not for anybody to just get and use for their own cryptocurrency. They have to actually request permission from the Hashgraph company. Okay, so that is stopping the innovation happening. That is stopping it from actually being used at the moment and stopping it from succeeding blockchain. Then scalability, it's not fully tested. Okay, so this hasn't been tested by a cryptocurrency. It hasn't been proved, and the scalability tested and proved publicly. So we can't actually say definitively, yes, 250,000 transactions a second. Because what the rumor is that this is 50,000 times faster than blockchain. But it hasn't been proved yet. So we can't actually say, okay, if all of a sudden there was an Ethereum competitor, or an Ethereum blockchain competitor using Hashgraph, right, let's compare like with like. We can't actually see at the moment that Hashgraph completely outperforms Ethereum because it hasn't been tested publicly, hasn't been tested with tons and tons, hundreds and hundreds of users, thousands, millions of users, an app like CryptoKitties. We haven't actually seen it proved publicly, which actually could lead to the problems that these public blockchains have. Okay, so once it's made public, we can actually see that claims like 50,000 times faster than blockchain is actually untrue. Now, it may not be intended for wide adoption. At the moment, it's kind of like a privately used technology. Okay, so we haven't necessarily seen it being adopted by cryptocurrency, seen it actively competing against blockchain. So we don't even know if it's intended for this industry or intended for industry generally. Okay, so we're yet to see that this is showing signs of taking over from Ethereum. We haven't seen any, or blockchains generally. We haven't necessarily seen that there are companies using to incorporate Hashgraph to be faster, to essentially provide a faster service and faster payments, faster transactions for users. We're not seeing that at the moment. So at the moment, nothing to worry about, but we could be seeing this as the Hashgraph company essentially evolve, and if they want to be seen as a blockchain killer. And then lastly, there's no immediate adoption intention. Okay, so there are no cryptocurrencies at the moment that have plans to use this technology. There's certainly no ICOs that are saying they are going to be using Hashgraph technology. So at the moment, it's all a bit up in the air. We don't necessarily know. So on the face of it, overall, on the face of it, if we're looking at the technology, it looks as if it is a blockchain killer because of the gossip protocol, which is essentially, think of it as a load of people. So think of the nodes as a load of people gossiping, spreading information, spreading who, what, where, information with neighbor. It spreads it to another neighbor, another neighbor, another neighbor. And basically enough information is agreed on that the transaction goes through. So it's a really good technology. Sounds great, is fast, faster than, you know, the blockchains that we've got at the moment, apparently, but it's not been tested publicly, and there doesn't seem to be any plans, or it doesn't seem to be any active cryptocurrencies looking to use this Hashgraph technology to essentially replace blockchain and create a new standard, create a new innovation in cryptocurrency. So nothing to worry about at the moment, but it is there, and it's there as a basis. We're seeing blockchain is being essentially improved upon all the time. Now, if Hashgraph starts at a really good place and another tech company gets the technology and improves upon it and makes it Hashgraph 2.0, then we could see this surpass blockchain at the end of 2018. But at the end of the day, what happens in cryptocurrencies, things move so fast anyway, could happen much sooner. So it's an interesting space and certainly something that's worth you knowing about in these early stages. So I'm just going to have a quick open out to questions, see if anybody's got to say anything. No stupid questions, please, ultimately, because that would be annoying. Let's see what you guys have to say. Super looks sad? No, I'm not sad. I'm not sad. Love Superman, always has great info. Thank you very much, Jay. Tron $3 this year? Think you're bloody. Who is that? Justin Sun? Is that Justin Sun getting on my chat trying to inspire confidence? Super, what do you think about the credits ICO? What I will say is that I'm certainly seeing a lot of due diligence happening. It's happening with my number one. It's happening with credits. It's happening with ArcBlock. It's happening with everything, which is essentially where any slightest red flag is having like a Reddit article being written up about it, and it's being spread like wildfire, so everybody's put off the opportunity. That's what's happening at the moment, and essentially you've got to do your own due diligence, trust yourself, do your own research. In my number one ICO, there's been a Reddit article. I'll look to kind of counter these eventually, not today, but what I'm seeing is that a Reddit article is being spread everywhere, goes viral, and everybody takes its word for it. But you have to do your own research, and if you do, you will find out information that, you know, the Reddit article hasn't touched, has been ignorant of, and essentially you're just trying to put down an opportunity. Okay, so is credits good? I think credits is good, but certainly people have been saying things about the team not being experienced enough, saying the token metrics don't make sense. So it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one, but you've got to do your own research in these things. Do you choose EOS above Cardano? Yes, I personally do choose EOS above Cardano. EOS is going to be a project that is brought to life quicker than Cardano and can essentially be approved upon quicker because Cardano will still be in creation over the course of the next 3 years, I think 3 or 5 years or something. So EOS is going to come to market faster. It's going to be a competitor to, you know, the ArcBlocks, the Ethereums, the Neos a lot faster, and it's going to be able to prove itself in that time. So I personally choose EOS, although Cardano has made me way more in gains. So at the end of the day, technology-wise, EOS, gains-wise, Cardano. You know, that's the thing. Zilliqa is also an up-and-comer. That's, I think last I checked on Zilliqa, that does 2,377 transactions a second, which outperforms Neo at the moment. So that's promising. And Zilliqa's going up. Zilliqa, that is reflecting in Zilliqa's performance at the moment. It's a top 60 crypto. It's going up quite nicely now. I got this cheap. During the dip. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. But I certainly think Blockport's a really good shout. I think Blockport's a good shout for today. Are there any more? Potentially Dent as well. Dent is an up-and-comer. This is an up-and-comer and still incredibly cheap. think when I spoke about Dent, it was 4 cents, 4.5 cents or something. And now it's 2.6 cents. So, and it has gone up to 10 cents, over 10 cents, 10.5 cents. So this is now worth a quarter of where it was. So this could go some, moving up to the future. But it's got a relatively high market cap. It has grown quite a lot since its lower days all the way back down here, but still could be a very good shout for the future. This could grow like Cardano in future. I mean, even though looking at the supply, this supply is very, very unlikely to be released. So it's only going to be the 10 billion and maybe diluted over time, but it's never ever going to be 100 billion. So I think that it's going to be relatively safe if you buy it at an entry point such as this, or maybe a little lower if you can. If you can get it under 2 cents, that would be much more perfect. But I think this is going to go up like the clappers in future, because essentially is a disruptor like Power Ledger. Anyway, I don't want to make this too long, so I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming back. I am going to try and make shorter videos, short, kind of informative, insightful videos, giving the information that you guys request from me. So if you have more requests, leave in the comments. Let me know what do you want me to cover in future episodes. What coins do you want me to cover? What technologies? What FUDs? What theories? Anything. Just let me know in the comments, and I will look to essentially make a series of informative, educational lectures for you. But till next time, guys, thank you for joining me today. Hope this was useful. Hope this clarified what Hashgraph is finally, because a lot of people have asked, and now you have the information. So I hope that this has helped, and I will see you next time. Till next time, peeps, it is lights out, all out.